All right, so this is the Unit 2 study guide on volume for our test on Friday. So let's start with number 1. Tim has a box that is 10 inches by 22 inches by 34 inches. He stacks a smaller box that is 10 inches by 28 inches by 20 inches on top. What is the combined volume of the two boxes? So for this one, I know that I just have to basically look at those numbers that they give me. The first box has those three numbers, so I'm going to start with those. Box 1 is 10 times 22 times 34, and if I do the math here, I get 220 times 34. Now you on the test, you'll have to do that multiplication yourself, but I'm going to use a calculator off to the side, and I get 7,480 for my answer for box 1. Okay, so that's the volume of box 1. It would be technically 7,480 cubic inches. So now I'm going to go to box 2. And those three numbers are 10, 28, and 20. All right, so I can do 10 times 28 in my head, 280 times 20, and that is 5,600 or 5,600. Now what I need to do is add these two together in order to get the volume of the total two boxes. So I'm going to do that over here. 7,480. Make sure I line up my numbers correctly, because you don't want to do all this work right and then make a silly mistake when you go to add them. So I make sure I line them up right. Get 0, bring down the 8. 4 plus 6 is 10. 8 plus 5 is 13. I bring down my comma, so my answer is 13,080 cubic inches. All right. If you need to look over that one again, you could just rewind and watch it a second time. All right, so let's go on to number 2. Find the volume of the rectangular prism. This one's quite simple, so you just have to take those three dimensions and multiply them together. So I'll do that here. 9 times 3 times 5. All right, so I'll do 9 times 3 is 27. 27 times 5. Again, you'll have to do this multiplication when you take the test, but I will do it on the calculator real quick. It is 135, so the answer here is 135 cubic inches. Okay, so again, you're taking these three dimensions and just multiplying them together. All right, so let's look at number 3. Which of the following expressions could not, huge box around the knots, could not be used to find the volume in cubic inches of the sheet cake? Select the 3 answers that apply, okay? So make sure you're paying attention to your directions really carefully. So I see that my dimensions are 15, 7, and 4. So I know to find the volume, I would have to multiply these 3 numbers together. So what I'm looking for here is what will not work to get the volume. So I'm going to look at each individual option, and I'll decide whether I can use this or not. All right, so I first see 105 times 4. Now, I'm not sure where the 105 comes from, but I know that there is a 4 here. So the only thing I can think of is, if I multiply 15 times 7, does it give me 105? And if the answer is yes, then it does work. So I'm going to do that off to the side just to see. 7 plus 3 is 100, and I get 105. So 15 times 7 gives me the base of this cake. The base is 105. So 105 times 4 actually does work. So this will not be the answer. If it does work, it is not the answer, because we only want the options that will not work. So 15 plus 7 plus 4 will definitely not work, because if we add these numbers together, that's not going to get us the volume. So that could be one of the answers, definitely. 15 times 7 times 4, 15, 7, and 4 are our 3 dimensions, so that actually will work, which means it's not the answer. This is very confusing, I know, but we just have to get used to that wording. So then we have 15 times 11. So 15 times 11 won't work because 7 times 4 is 28. So 15 times 28 would work, but 15 times 11 definitely won't work. So that is one of the answers. And then we have 15 times 7 plus 4. Whenever you see an addition sign when it comes to volume, it's probably not going to work because you don't really add to get volume. So this will not work, which means it is one of our answers. So our answers here are B, D, and E. Okay? A little bit tricky, but you just got to take your time and make sure you're answering it correctly. All right, so I'm just going to double check, select the 3 answers that apply. I have 3 answers. We're good to go. B, D, and E. Okay, so let's look at 4. Choose the 3 expressions that can be used to find volume in cubic meters of a rectangular prism. So again, we're choosing 3 answers, but in this case, we are finding the ones that can be used to find the volume. So our dimensions are 2, 4, and 8. So we know to get that, to get the volume, we multiply together those 3 dimensions. So let's look at our choices and decide which ones we can use to find the volume. 2 times 4 is not going to give us the volume. It's just not enough numbers. You're forgetting the width of the box. So 2 times 4 will not work. That is not going to be our answer. I'm going to put an X through it so I know that that is not going to be one of my answers. 2 plus 4 times 8. Again, we see a plus sign. Plus or addition never works in volume, so that's not going to work. 8 times 4 times 2. 8 times 4 times 2. That will work. The parentheses just mean do this part first. When you get that answer, multiply it by 2, and that definitely works. 4 times 8 times 2. That works. 4 times 8 times 2. And 2 times 4 times 8 definitely works. So don't let the parentheses fool you. Parentheses, as you know, mean just do this first and then multiply it by 8, but it doesn't matter what order you do it in, it will still work. Okay. Now let's look at 5. All right. Here we have Model A and Model B. Laura made the rectangular prisms shown using unit cubes. Which statement about these models is true? And then the different statements say the volume of Model B is 4 cubic units greater than the volume of Model A. Model A and Model B have the same volume. The volume of Model A and Model B combined is 54 units, and the volume of Model A is 10 cubic units less than the volume of Model B. So from all of these options, I'm kind of getting the hint that I need to find the volume of these two in order to figure out what the answer is. So the volume of Model A, I can see that it is 2 high, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wide, and 1, 2, 3 long. So I have 2 times 6, which is 12, and 12 times 3 is 36. So the volume of Model A is 36. Then I have Model B. Our height again is 2. Then we're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 wide, and then 2 long. So 2 times 10 is 20, and 20 times 2 is 40. So now I know the volume of both of the models. That's definitely got to be your first step, is finding the volume of both of them. And then looking again at the answers. So the volume of Model B is 4 cubic units greater than the volume of Model A. So the volume of Model B is 40. The volume here is 36. Is Model B 4 cubic units greater than Model A? Well, 40 and 36, the difference there is 4, because if you took 36 and added 4, you'd get 40, or if you took 40 and subtracted 4, you would get 36. So the answer actually is A. We were lucky here. It was the first option. It's always a good idea to go through the rest just to make sure that you're right. We know that B is not correct because they do not have the same volume. The volume of Model A and B combined is 54. Well, I can see right now that 40 plus 36 definitely is not going to be 54, so that's not correct. And then the volume of Model A is 10 cubic units less than the volume of Model B. There's not a difference of 10. There's only a difference of 4 here, so that is not the answer either. So A is definitely our answer for this one. Okay. Number 6. What is the volume of this prism? This is an easy one. So going up and down, our height is 3, and our width is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then going back, our length is 2. So pretty simple. 3 times 7 is 21, and 21 times 2 is 42. So our answer is 42 cubic units. Okay. All right, let's look at 7. How many cubes will fill this box? So again, it's just a matter of looking at your dimensions, writing out your dimensions, and then multiplying them together. So going up and down, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 high, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wide, and 1, 2 long. So 6 times 5 is 30, and 30 times 2 is 60. So our answer is C, 60. Okay. And then number 8. Another question asking us how many cubes will fill this box, but we only have a pattern now. We don't have an actual box. So when you're working with a pattern, what you want to do is look at this middle part. This is the bottom of the box. Once this box gets folded up, this would be the bottom of it. So if you look at this measurement here, this would be our length, and this measurement here will be our width, and then this measurement out on one of the flaps is the height, because once this is folded up, it's how high the box is. So we just need to figure out our length is 3. Our width is 1, 2, 3, 4, and our height is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 3 times 4 times 5. So I'll do 5 times 4 is 20, and 20 times 3 is 60. So again, 60 is our answer. All right, I'll write that out. 3 times 4 times 5. Okay. And that gave us 60 altogether. Okay. Remember, you can go back and rewind any problems that you need to see again. That's the great thing about having a video, is you have control over which ones you have to watch, which ones you need to watch again, all that. All right, so let's look at number 9. What is the volume of this solid? So this is a solid that we need to break apart in order to find the volume of it. Now you could break it this way, which is horizontal, or you could break it this way, which is vertical. I'm going to break it horizontally just because that's what I'm feeling, but it doesn't really matter. You'll get the same answer no matter which way you break it. So I'm going to find the volume of this bottom rectangular prism first. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 by 2 by 1. So the volume of this bottom section is 5 times 2 is 10, 10 times 1 is 10. So this is 10. And then I need to find the volume of this part. Now I could multiply all the dimensions, or I could just really count the cubes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? That's the volume there. So 10 plus 4, because we want to know the volume of it all together. 10 and 4 is 14. The answer is 14 cubic units. All right, number 10. What is the volume of the solid figure? Now again, here we need to break up our object, our shape. We can't find the volume of this just by multiplying all these numbers together. That will not get us the volume. That'll just get us a really, really long multiplication problem. So in order to do this, we need to break apart our shape. Okay, so I'm going to break mine apart vertically this time. So now I have A and B. I always like to label my two rectangles because it makes it easier when I'm doing my work down here at the bottom to know where I'm at and not get too confused. So let's just start with A and do our length, width, and height. So A is 6 inches tall, 3 inches long, and 3 inches wide. So we're going up, we have our side, and we have the back here. Okay, so that's 6 times 3 times 3. I'll do the math right now. So 6 times 3 is 18, and 18 times 3 is 54. So our volume of A is 54. Now let's look at B. So B, we can see up here, tells us that it's 9 inches long, 3 inches tall, and 3 inches wide. All right, so let's do 3 times 3 is 9, and then 9 times 9 is 81. So this one's 81. So now what we have to do to find the volume of the whole figure is add these two numbers together. So I'm just going to do that right here in the middle. 4 plus 1 is 5, and then 8 plus 5 is 13. My answer is 135, but with the correct labeling, it's 135 inches cubed. So the answer is A. All right. Number 11. Oh boy. All right, so number 11. Which expressions can be added to find the volume in cubic meters of the solid figure? Select the two answers that apply. Okay, so basically this is the type of problem that takes a little while to do, but it really is quite easy. Don't get overwhelmed by all these different answers. You guys are pros at this, you can definitely do it. So the first time you figure out the dimensions, you just want to cut it either one way or the other. It doesn't really matter which way you start. So I'm going to cut it this way first, and I'm going to label my two sections A and B. I like to do that to keep myself organized. Okay, so A, the dimensions of A will be 5. It's 5 wide. To get the length, I'm looking for this measurement, but I see that there's no measurements up here. So I'm going to look at the rest of my figure. It's not labeled here, it's not labeled here, but it is labeled here, 5 meters. So 5 meters wide. And then I need the height. Now, 12 is the height of this entire figure, but we are just going up to here. So I need to know what the measurement of this is in order to know what this measurement is. So it's obviously not labeled over here, but if I look over on the other side, it is labeled as 1. So if this is 1 meter and the whole thing is 12, that means this top part must be 11 meters, because together, this part and this part, they make up 12. So it's 11 and 1. So my height is 11 for A. And B is going to be 10 meters wide. We just figured out that it's 1 meter high. And then again, it's 5 meters wide. So these are the first set of dimensions that we have for this first cut that we made. So now we need to find the answer that matches these dimensions. So I'm looking for 5, 5, and 11, and 10, 5, and 1, and here we go. This A is our first answer, because if you can see, these numbers here match these numbers here. They don't have to be in the same order. The order doesn't matter. We know that about volume. The order doesn't matter as long as the numbers are correct. So now that we figured out one of the answers, we just have to figure out what the other answer is, because there are two answers we have to come up with. So I'm going to erase all this. And then I'm going to split my figure the other way this time. So now I'm splitting it vertically. All right, and I'm going to label that one A and this one B. So now let's start with A. Our dimensions for A are 5 long, 1 high, and 5 wide. So 5 times 1 times 5. And then for B, now our height is actually the full 12. So 12 times, how wide is it? Well, down here it says 10, but if I look up here, I see that the width is labeled right there as 5. And now I need to know what our length here is. And again, it's not labeled up here, but it is labeled here. And so it is 5. So now we need to find the other answer choice that has these two sets of dimensions. So 5, 1, and 5, and then 12, 5, and 5. 5, 1, and 5, 5, 5, 1, 12, 5, 5. So D is the correct answer for this one. So now we have two answers that show the different ways that you could split up this figure. okay? All right, number 12. What is the volume of a rectangular prism that is 4 units by 8 units by 10 units? This one's really simple. It's just a matter of doing the correct multiplication. So in this case, our dimensions would look like this, 4 by 8 by 10. We can do 4 times 8 is 32. Bring down the times 10, and you should be able to do this in your head, because 32 times 1 is 32, and then just add the 0, and your answer should be 320, and that is D. So there you go. All right. Number 13, this is one with 2 parts to it. So the solid figure is separated along the dotted line into 2 rectangular prisms. This one a lot of people had a hard time with, but it's actually really easy to do. So it says, part A, the volumes of the 2 rectangular prisms, these are the 2 rectangular prisms, A and B, are blank cubic inches and 250 cubic inches. So they're telling you that one of these is 250 cubic inches and the other one, we don't know yet. You have to figure it out. So really the way you need to start is figuring out the volume of both of these. So we'll write it down here again. A and B. So the dimensions of A are, well, we see that it's 5 inches long, 5 inches high. We don't know the width off the bat because the whole thing is 25. But it looks like this section is 5. So that means that this section must be 20 because altogether it's 25. So it is 20 inches long. So actually let's move B down so we can do our multiplication right here. 5 times 20 is 100, and 5 times 100 is 500. So A's volume is 500 inches cubed. All right, and then B, we'll do B over here. B is 5 by 5 by 10. Okay, 5 times 5 is 25, times 10 is 250. Okay, so let's go back to our question. Now we know that B is 250 and A is 500. The volumes of the 2 rectangular prisms are blank cubic inches and 250 cubic inches. We know B is the 250, so A goes into the blank, which is 500. I'm going to write it in the blank, but also see that I have to circle C as my answer, 500. So now that we know these 2 volumes, part B is really simple. The volume of the entire solid figure together is how many cubic inches? Well, the volume of A is 500, the volume of B is 250, so just add these together and you get 750. So your answer is C. All right, let's look at 14. What is the volume of the rectangular prism? So in this case, they already gave us the measurement of the base, which is 22 inches squared. The reason it's inches squared is because it is the volume of this whole bottom part. So it is squared. You'll see that the 8 over here is just written in inches because it's just the height. This is squared because it's giving us the whole floor. It's more than just a straight line. It's actually a square on the bottom. So anyway, we know that volume equals length times width, times height, but it's also base times height because base is length times width. So they're giving us the base. They basically took out one step for us. So all we have to do is 22 multiplied by 8. 8 times 2 is 16, carry the 1, and then 16 plus 1 is 7. So our answer is 176 inches cubed. Cubed because we're talking about the volume. Volume is always cubed. Okay. Now 15. Allison is building a storage container in her basement. The container will have two sections that are connected. How many cubic foot boxes can she store in this container? So all we're doing is finding the volume of this entire figure. So we're gonna just, it's already cut here for us, so we're just gonna cut it here and label it A and B. We'll do A over here and B over here. So A dimensions are 2 feet tall, 2 feet long, and 7 feet wide. So 2 times 2 times 7. That was pretty easy. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 7 is 28. So the volume of A is 28. B, we have 7 feet wide, 7 feet long, and 10 feet tall. So now we have 7 times 10 times 7. 7 times 10 is 70. And 70 times 7, well, if you do 7 and 7, you get 49. And then just bring that 0 down, 490. So the volume of this section is 490 cubic feet. Altogether, we need to find the volume of the total, so we just need to add 490 and 28. 9 plus 2 is 11. Our answer is 518 cubic foot boxes. Okay. 2 more to go. All right, now on to number 16. Don't mind all of the eraser marks you see. I had to reshoot this because I made a mistake. All right, so Jessica's bedroom is 11 feet long, 12 feet wide, and 9 feet high. Her bedroom closet is 4 feet long, 4 feet wide, and 9 feet high. What is the total volume of Olivia's bedroom and closet? This should really be Jessica's. And it should also have a question mark at the end because that is a question. Okay, so let's get started. Her bedroom and her closet are attached, and we want to know what the volume of both of those rooms together is. So we want to find the volume of the bedroom, find the volume of the closet, and then add them together in the end. So her bedroom is 11 by 12 by 9, and her closet is 4 by 4 by 9. All right, so 11, so let's start with the bedroom. We're going to multiply these together. 11 times 12 is 132, and then we're going to multiply that by 9. When you take the test, you'll have to do the multiplication out, and please make sure your multiplication is correct. But I get to do it on a calculator, and my answer is 1,188. So that's the volume of the bedroom. The closet is 4 times 4 is 16, and then we'll bring down the 9. 16 times 9 is 144. So volume of our closet is 144. So what we need to do now to just finish up this problem is add those two together in order to find the volume of the whole room. 8 plus 4 is 12, carry the 1. 8 plus 4 is 12 again, but we need to add our 1. 13, carry the 1, 3, 1, 1,332. It's one of my answer choices. Awesome. The answer is C. Okay, last one. Claire is building a double layer sandbox in her backyard. The lower level is 2 feet by 3 feet by 1 foot. The top level is 2 feet by 4 feet by 1 foot. How many cubic feet of sand does Claire need to fill both levels of the garden? So again, we're just finding the volume of one level, find the volume of the second level, and add them together. So let's go with level 1 is 2 feet by 3 feet by 1 foot. And level 2 is 2 feet by 4 feet by 1 foot. Find the volume of these, which should be quite simple. The first level is 6 feet cubed. We can write that by labeling it that way, 6 feet cubed. And then level 2 is 8 times 1, 8 feet cubed. So then to find the volume of the whole entire garden, which is how we're going to, oh, it's supposed to be a sandbox. Oh, yeah. Okay. So how much sand does she need to fill the sandbox? Well, we have to find the volume. So if the volume of level 1 is 6, the volume of level 2 is 8, all you have to do is add them together and you get 14 feet cubed, or 14 cubic feet. All right, so that is the last question on the study guide. If you need any help at all, please let me know before the test and go back and rewind any of these problems if you just need to see them done one more time. And I hope this was helpful. All right, good luck.